As an American citizen, there are things that I love about my country, but there are also things that are lame, awful, and embarrassing. One of the embarrassing things about this country is the historically low proportion of American citizens who reject the theory of evolution. Other developed nations generally have about 2/3 to 3/4 of their citizens expressing acceptance of evolution. Germany, for example, is about 60 to 65% acceptance of evolution, and in Japan, it's upwards of 75%. The Anglosphere is a bit less, with Britain hovering around 50% of people accepting evolution and 50% rejecting it in favor of some alternative explanation, which is usually some kind of religious-based belief system. Now, among all developed nations, America has, hands down, the worst showing. In the middle of the 20th century, around the time of the Scopes monkey trial, which is a real crazy story of its own, if you haven't heard of it, go read about it, but around this time, American acceptance of evolution was definitely in the minority, at around 30 to 40%. But more recently, there was a survey on evolution conducted in 2005, which found that out of 34 developed countries, the US was not last anymore, but second to last in acceptance of evolution. The US was only ahead of Turkey, with just 27% of Turkish citizens accepting evolution. Now, a new study has recently been published, which analyzed the results of 35 years of American public opinion surveys. These included surveys funded by NASA, by the National Science Foundation, and by the National Science Board. In these national surveys, there was a question about evolution. Specifically, respondents were asked to agree or disagree with a particular claim about human evolution. If you've taken any of these surveys, you might recognize this. The claim is, human beings, as we know them today, developed from earlier species of animals. To anybody who's biologically literate, the answer to that is an obvious yes, that's true. In the context of polling people and collecting their opinions on stuff, if the respondent agreed with this statement, if they said yes, that's true, then the researchers concluded that they accepted evolution. But if the respondent disagreed with this statement, then the researchers concluded that they rejected evolution. I'll let Dr. John Miller, lead researcher of the study, explain the trends they observed in the data. Dr. Miller said, quote, "From 1985 to 2010, there was a statistical dead heat between acceptance and rejection of evolution. But acceptance then surged, becoming the majority position in 2016. Unquote. Mark Ackerman was a co-author of the study, and when interviewed for the University of Michigan press release, he explained some of the factors that improve the acceptance of evolution, including the proportion of citizens with a college degree, the number of college science courses taken, and the scientific literacy of the general public. Dr. Ackerman said, quote, "Almost twice as many Americans held a college degree in 2018 as in 1988. It's hard to earn a college degree without acquiring at least a little respect for the success of science." Unquote. Their data also revealed several factors that actually worsen the problem, that end up lowering the acceptance of evolution. By far and away, the most dominant and influential of these negative factors was religious fundamentalism. A little bit under 1/3 of the US population are religious fundamentalists, and they remain a stubborn bastion of anti-evolution scientific illiteracy. However, even these most stubborn opponents of evolution are not immune to having their minds changed. The data revealed that even the religious fundamentalists are slowly coming around on evolution. Only 8% of them accepted evolution in 1988, whereas that number has gone up to 32% in 2019. This actually kind of blew my mind. 1/3 of the US religious fundamentalists accept evolution. And because the religious fundamentalists make up approximately 1/3 of the country, we're talking about 1/9 of the country here, so this is a sizable number of people. It's enough people that we might actually be able to attribute this new milestone in US citizen acceptance of evolution to the religious fundamentalists that finally saw through their religious dogma and acknowledged the factual reality of evolution. let me be the first person to say, this is the last thing I expected. But I'm always happy to be pleasantly surprised. At this point, it seems like political divisions are the primary obstacle to widespread acceptance of evolution. The political division on this issue has only gotten worse over time. The survey data showed that just 34% of the most conservative Republicans accept evolution, compared to 83% of the most liberal Democrats. There's probably significant overlap between the most conservative Republicans and religious fundamentalists, which may partly explain why the percentages are so similar, 32 to 34%. But the thing that confuses me is the 17% of liberal Democrats who reject evolution. Presumably, there's a lot fewer religious fundamentalists here, so I wonder what weirdness is going on that's enabled about 1/6 of the most science-friendly political demographic in the US to reject evolution, which is a fundamental scientific theory. I suppose we'll find out with more polling and more surveys and more public opinion research. But for now, I just wanted to celebrate this little milestone in science literacy and biological education. The data shows that we've gotten a lot better than we were, but we still have a long way to go.